In this video, I wanted to share with you what I consider to be the best 3D animated feature films of all time. These are going to be the best fantasy, sci-fi, and action-packed films that I have ever seen in my life. Some of them did actually inspire me to start my journey as a 3D artist because I could not help myself but to ask, how the heck did they create this amazing, mind-blowing stuff? If you have stumbled across something like this that we did not mention in this video, please let us know in the comment section below, and with that being said, let's jump right in. Number 10. Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars. Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars is a 2017 Japanese-American animated military sci-fi fiction film. The film is a sequel to Starship Troopers Invasion of the 2012. In the 2012 movie, the troopers of two starships have joined forces to terminate a massive bug attack at the Federation outpost before the mission can be completed and the survivors evacuated. One ship abruptly departs and goes inexplicably dark. The remaining battle-hardened troopers race to the rescue, only to discover that the threat from the bugs is about to hit home. In the sequel after the events of Starship Troopers Invasion, Johnny Recco has been demoted and relocated to a Martian space station to train a new batch of troopers. Unfortunately, his squad is incompetent, which made things more complicated when the bugs attacked. Number 9. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse is a 2018 American computer animated superhero film. It is the first animated feature film in the Spider-Man franchise, and it is set in a shared multiverse called the Spiderverse, which has alternative universes. In the film, the protagonist joins other Spider-Men from various dimensions who team up to save New York City. In order to accommodate working in this new visual style, not only was a new technology developed, but changes to the pipeline and workflow were required. Various new techniques were developed, including the rigging and animation of facial line work, 2D hand-drawn effects, and stylized rendering. Every department at ImageWorks was asked to reconsider what it means to make an animated feature film in the spirit of this comic book style. In order to do this, they developed a new line drawing system in which an artist could draw lines on a character the way an illustrator might. These lines were then converted to geometry and rigged for animation. Other lines that were based on geometry, such as those drawn on noses, ears, and hands, were more predictable and required less hand keyframe animation. This predictability allowed them to use machine learning to automate the animation of these lines. With each adjustment an artist made to these lines, the system learned and got better at predicting how to draw the lines for the next frame. This automation saved time and allowed animators to really focus on the performance of the characters. The use of line work was used throughout the film. Even hard surfaces models had lines built into them, and often additional lines were added to the environments in composition. Number 8. Vexel. Vexel 2077 Japanese Isolation is a 2007 Japanese anime CGI film. It has an interesting story that goes something like this. By the 2060s, robotics technology has become extremely advanced, including cybernetics. World opinion begins to turn against robotics, including the UN declaring a unilateral ban on further research in 2067. Japan, being a home to robotics pioneer Daiwa Heavy Industries, strongly protests this ban but is unable to prevent its passage. In the protest, Japan withdraws from international politics and all foreigners were deported, and further immigration was prohibited. The United Navy's Special Warfare Unit SWORD penetrates Japan and tries to prevent Daiwa from working on their plans. Number 7. Appleseed Alpha. Appleseed Alpha is an animated military science fiction cyberpunk film. It depicts the early days of a cyborg and a female soldier in the 22nd century, as they embark on a journey throughout dystopic ruins of New York City, and they searched for the city of Olympus. They were hired by Two Horns, the warlord of the ruined city, to eliminate bipedal combat machines, and they encountered Iris and Olsen, both on a mission. They later befriend them and decide to join their mission. Even though the story of this film is not the greatest, but I would say it was crafted beautifully and it is worth watching. Number 6. Resident Evil Vendetta. Resident Evil Vendetta, also known as Biohazard Vendetta in Japan, is a 2017 Japanese animated biopunk action horror film that is part of the Resident Evil franchise, set in the same universe as the associated video games. The film features the characters of Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy, and it is actually the third CG movie after Resident Evil Degeneration in 2008, followed by Resident Evil Damnation in 2012. The film was produced by Marza Animation Planet, which is a Japanese-based CG animation studio dedicated to making full-length feature films. Number 5. A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol is a 2009 American computer animated fantasy film. It is a film adaptation of Charles Dickens' 1843 story of the same name. It was produced using motion capture that was also used in the previous films from the same studio, such as Polar Express in 2004 and Beowulf in 2007. It is Disney's third film retelling A Christmas Carol, and it is also the first of only 2 films produced by Image Movers Digital, which is the studio that was responsible for the actual making of this film. Number 4. Beowulf. Beowulf is a 2007 3D animated fantasy action feature film produced by Image Movers. It used live-action motion capture animation, which was also previously used in the Polar Express in 2004 and Monster House in 2006. The story of this film is inspired by the poem that has the same name. Beowulf is a fierce warrior that protects the Danes from Grendel, a hideous monster, by mortally wounding him, and then Grendel's mother, she swears to take revenge. The story is amazing and the CGI is cutting edge for its time. Overall, it is a fantastic movie, even though, with today's standards, it might not look like it. Number 3. Captain Harlock, the Space Pirate. Captain Harlock, Space Pirate is a 2013 Japanese 3D animated sci-fi film. This movie tells the story of a man called Captain Harlock who travels the universe in the immortal ship called Arcadia. Humanity was able to go out to space and colonize planets, meeting alien life, fulfilling the wishes of space travel and extraterrestrial contact. But as human development began to decline, many people desired to go back to their home planet of Earth. The film used the trace and render engine Arnold, and it was the first time for it to be used in a Japanese feature film. The production of this film was slow due to the use of computer graphics instead of the traditional Japanese ways. In addition to that, the movie had used 2D to 3D conversion software. Captain Harlock is a fantastic movie visually. The film had won the International 3D Feature Award at the International 3D Society Lumiere Japan Awards in 2013. Number 2. The Adventures of Tintin. This is a fantastic animated feature film from Weta Digital. It was made possible with the help of many extremely talented artists who brought to us this film that I personally felt that it was ahead of its time when I watched it for the first time. And to be honest, it still feels like it, even in the third decade of this millennium. This film is about the story of Tintin, who was accompanied by his faithful dog. He sets off on a treasure hunt for a sunken ship commanded by Harlock's ancestor. The Adventures of Tintin was Weta Digital's first fully animated feature film. It incorporated a lot of the same technology as Avatar, continuing to advance the model of virtual production. Weta Digital helped develop the story through pre-visualization and transformed the stylized 2-dimensional drawings into 3-dimensional CG animated characters, handling the whole film in-house. Actually, this film was directed by Steven Spielberg. That's why it was so good, and he had to say this about it. Because of the medium of the animation, sadly my imagination was limited by the exigence of physical outdoors production. All of the production was from the imagination right to the computer, and there is nothing better than that. The next challenge for Weta Digital after Avatar was handling interior lighting in an all-digital environment. They evolved their handling of indirect, specular, and diffuse lighting to accurately address bounce light, and they changed the way they sampled lights to get the soft shadows that were important for the lighter look they settled on with Steven. They used Pantera to calculate the shadow data, and the efficiency helped Weta achieve a better look in the shadow design process. Weta and NVIDIA started collaborating 3 years before the film was released to develop Pantera, which utilizes NVIDIA professional GPUs in Weta's rendering pipeline to allow quick, dynamic recomputation of image-based lighting. The tool initially was used in Avatar and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and it was further developed for Tintin to compute ray-traced shadows from small sources as well as major light sources, such as windows, and chandeliers that cast soft shadows. This film is actually a masterpiece of fully CGI animated films, and I highly recommend it. Number 1. Kingsglaive Final Fantasy XV. Kingsglaive Final Fantasy XV is a feature-length animated film produced by Square Enix. The film tells the story of a king, the ruler of Lucius, whose duty is to defend his land from the evil Niflheim Empire. The interesting thing about this film is that it was a massive collaborated effort between studios from Japan, Imageworks from Canada, Unity Image from France, Plotic Image from Poland, in addition to Digic Pictures and Puppetworks from Hungary. Digic Pictures created the opening major battle scene as well as some additional shots. Actually, the studio did a fantastic job on this film, especially knowing that they are famous top-notch cinematics masters who worked on the best video games. Unity Image worked on the introduction shots of the movie that took place as a flashback in the midst of a luxurious forest. Puppetworks was involved with delivering 30 minutes or 433 shots of photorealistic quality CGI from previs to final composition. This entailed animation, render, and compositing. The 7-month schedule they were given was incredibly tight, but they managed to finish just on time. Also, Image Engine embarked on its first full CG animated sequence with Kingsglaive Final Fantasy XV. It was a 23-minute sequence featuring colossal knights doing battle across an epic cityscape, and they made sure that every shot respected the heritage of the classic video game franchise. Overall, this film was a masterpiece, in addition of course to the rest of the movies we mentioned on this list. I hope you found this video interesting. If you have something to add, please leave it in the comment section below. Also, you can check some of our previous videos. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.